Hello you guys, thanks for your strong participation in this class. With this quick video I'm going to demonstrate many of the steps that Dr. Shane completed in producing a pivot table. He did a few things along the way, created an age category, sorted the data, filtered the data, and entered in some formulas to show the mean and median of age or other figures. I'm using a Windows machine. I know some of you are using iPads. I may also be using a different version of Excel than you, so bear with me. This may look slightly different, and there are many ways to accomplish this with Excel, so I may take a slightly different path. The idea for you is not literally take each of these steps and perseverate on them, but take a step back and take a look at the general steps that we use to accomplish this task. As I mentioned, we'll be using a file which we've uploaded onto the icon site and generally produce a pivot table. Let's get started. The icon site is shown and the file that has been preloaded is here. I'll click on it once and that'll show it in icon view. So I'll click on it again, which will bring it up in Excel. When the file comes up, you'll notice that the heading of the row, the first row, I'll call that the header row, includes the variable names, ID, sex, age, length of stay, etc. The data are within a range, let's say within A1, and overall, I'm clicking to the bottom, and I'll hold down my Shift key to highlight A1 through A101. That's the data range. We'll refer to that slightly later on. The worksheet is hospital charges. There are others here included, but don't worry about them for now. So let's create a filter. I'm going to go back up to the top, and I like to click on the whole worksheet so that any tables or any data in here will now have a filter. By clicking on data, entering filter, you'll see a little drop down is shown here. So for example, with gender or sex, you can select all, but if you just want to show the males or the females, I just selected F, and now only the females are shown. To go back, I'll click select all, and we're back to our original state. So filters are a handy way to select subsets of cases in your data set. Let's take a look at age. You'll notice the options range from 39 through 96, and I'm going to stick with all of them, but again, the ages range from 39 to 96. Keep that in mind. Those are the filters. I'm interested in sorting this data set from 39 to 96. There are a couple ways I could do that. One is to click on the drop down as if I were filtering the data, and I can sort it from smallest to largest. Another way that you can accomplish that is to click on sort up here, but I'm going to use this utility. And now the data are sorted. Let me make sure I'm at the top. Sorted from 39 through 96 at the bottom. 96 at the bottom. By clicking anywhere in the data set, I could create a pivot table by inserting a pivot table. But before I do that, actually, I like to create an age category. And as you're approaching these displays, it's helpful to think ahead. What am I trying to accomplish with this data set? In this case, I'd like to create age categories and show a pivot table with my age categories. Let's do that. So I click somewhere within, I want to insert a column called age category. And I like to insert with a right click insert, and I'll create age category here. I'll say age cat to abbreviate. That's my new variable in a column heading. And I want to enter into this cell 39 to, let's say, 69 years of age. Press enter. I'm going to widen this. I'll highlight the whole cell. Notice moving left and right. Now I can grab this and drag this a little bit to the right, and age cat will show. Let me make it a little wider. Click on that value. Go to home where copy is shown. I'll paste this on the rows all the way down through 69. I want to create another category of 70 to 79 years. Press enter. Highlight that. Copy to these cells. Paste. Move down a little bit. 80 to 89 years. Press enter. Copy to these cells. Move down a little bit. 90 to, the highest was 96 years of age. 96. You can create your own ranges. I'm sure that I'm doing it differently than Dan did, but that's okay. You get the idea. So we've created another variable called age category. Click anywhere within the table, and let's insert a pivot table. You'll notice the range of A1 through J101, A through J, all the way down to the bottom of the data set, will be included in this, and it's going to create our pivot table in a new worksheet. If you wanted to, you could put it in the existing worksheet, but let's create a new worksheet. I'm going to right-click on that. I like to name my worksheets. I'll call this pivot. And in creating the pivot table, it has a workspace here, and it lists our variables from the header row. In the case of age category, I could click it or double-click it, and it places it in the rows automatically because it knows that it's a categorical nominal level data and places it by default in the rows. If you want a little more control, I unclick that and we'll drag it to the rows. I could drag, for example, gender or sex to the columns, and then I would have age for females and males in the totals. But for now, I just want a simple table showing age category and length of stay. Again, I could double click this or click it, and it places length of stay in these cells of the table. You'll notice that it created some length of stay. That's by default. I wanted average length of stay. So I'm going to go to a drop-down space here, click on Value Field Settings. I'll make it average. And it's a pretty ugly number here. That is about 8 spaces to the right of decimal. So I can highlight those spaces, right-click, format those cells, and make it a number with 2 or 1 numbers to the right of the decimal, and that's formatted. I like to add headings, and since I'm going to treat this as kind of a title of my table, I'm going to combine these two cells. Under Home, I can merge and center those cells. I'm going to call them average length of stay, fat thumbs, by age. Enter. I can format this in any number of ways. I'll make it bold, I'll make it a little bit larger. Looks like I cut it off, so I can widen that field. And there you have it. I'd like to do one more thing, and Dan did some formulas. Calculated average length of stay, which is 5.1 for all cases. Let's go back to the raw data file under a worksheet called Hospital Charges. Go down just a little bit. He created a couple different statistics here. One is the mean average, and another is the median average. And for age, you can click on the cell that you want the result to be. I'm going to widen this column a little bit. Well, and we have age over here. So you click where you want the formula to produce a statistic. I want to put in this cell, which is C103, the mean average age. And I click up here. Formula begins with an equal sign, average, left paren, highlight, all the way up to the values that I'm averaging, and press enter. You'll notice, by the way, it puts in a complete formula average of the values in these cells. Average is the term that Excel uses. It happens to produce a mean average to produce a median average, equal sign, median, left paren, and again, highlight the cells. So those are the mean and the median ages. Interestingly, I can highlight those and copy those cells all the way across. So as you look at this is the length of stay. The formula is in column E2 through E101, which is where I have, I'm going to press escape, where I have the average length of stay, and the figures are shown. Recall we created these age categories, and so they are text fields. They are not ratio level numbers, and Excel produces an error because you can't calculate an average of nominal level data. So I'm going to highlight those and press delete. So that's how you calculate with a formula. Click where you want to place it, enter the formula, including the range of cells that you want to include in that figure, and then we copied that, highlighted that, and copied it all the way across, and it produces for each respective column a mean and a median average. We also, in this video, produced a pivot table, and I encourage you to play with dragging and dropping these different figures to rows and columns, as well as you could put age in the value settings. You can do sums, counts, etc. Play with this a little bit and get comfortable with pivot tables and the contents therein. Dan and I are available to you by phone or email. Welcome your call anytime if you have questions. Otherwise, we'll see you at the next class and we can certainly discuss this further. Thanks for engaging with the class, you guys. Look forward to the rest of the semester.